Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Hell yeah.
They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second.
dailypodcast.com. What I'm doing is taking people that I see. A friend of mine and I were driving to the office one day, and before you think, oh, the typical, okay, we're rich and educated and going to our big office, it was, in my case, I grew up a laborer. My dad grew up on a farm. We're uneducated. My dad is from Europe. And the only thing we had was grit, to work hard. And before you think, oh man, that's not me, it's everybody would be lazy if they weren't motivated. If you pay rent every month and rent is coming up and you have a chance to lay on your couch or work, you're going to work. But if you had a check coming every month, let's say from a family trust or a government, it may not work out well for you because there's no reason to get up and get going. So before you think, oh yeah, these guys are hard workers, just remember that the reason I worked my tail off is because I had to. And for all of us, if you need a motivation, give yourself a motivation, give yourself a reason to work. If you are lazy, you got nothing going on, go out and go overextend yourself just a little bit to where you have to pay something every month just to get you going. And then find another reason to stay going. Whether it's you're trying to impress somebody, whatever it is, whatever you can use to motivate you, use it. Obviously, the less in debt, the better off you are. But if you need that to get you going, better to do that and be productive and be a part of society than to not have anything going on. One of the things that I'm always curious about is people that have everything squared away. Like they got the family trust, they have their kids, they're all taken care of, their kids' school is saved, they're overinsured, house is paid off or nearly paid off, they bought it 20 years ago, they're not paying much mortgage. The cars they got such a great deal, they're either paid off or a really cheap lease. When everything is taken care of and things can kind of run automatically, that's when people tend to die. Because everything is done. They're nobody's dependent on them. They don't have the drive, and obviously it's. I'm using a little hyperbole here, but if the people that you talk to, an older Mexican guy that has to make cash to go to the store and buy food for his family, he's not going to get old and die. He's going to work his ass off until the day he drops dead, because he has to. And I think, in my opinion, your body will start to align itself with what it has to do. You'll subconsciously maybe eat better. You won't drink as much because you have to work the next day. Your body will think, no, this is my limit. At least as you get older and wiser, your body will start to see these limits and figure, okay, what does it have to do? And though you don't want to overexert yourself to where you're stressed out and ineffective, at the same time, you don't want to be just a non-issue in this life. So the truth is somewhere in the middle. And basically my job is every morning, getting back to my story, when my friend and I would drive to our office, was to look around. We'd see people and they just looked miserable. It's 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and a lot of them were going to jobs that they couldn't stand. And here we are. I'm in my mid 40s, and my friend, partner. I hate to say partner nowadays because now it means a lot of things. I'm happily married, 4 kids, 3 that love me. I'm not going to tell you which 3. And it's a weird thing because these people they're going every day, and eventually they're either gonna be happy or they're not. They're gonna be effective or they're not. But they're gonna be there the next day. They're gonna waste 5 years, 10 years. And my goal is to get people that are on the fence that want to go to the next level and help push them over, and be a little more wise in what you do and how you do it, and give you kind of the fuel that you need to go over. It's hard to get somebody that has no motivation to do anything. They have to first see something that they want to get up and start moving. But once you start moving, a lot of times nothing's happened for a while, and it's hard to, you get kind of numb to your surroundings and the way you've been doing things. You need to be shaken up a little bit. And the reason why I think I may be a little more effective than most is because, like I said earlier, I don't have an Ivy League degree. I am not working for a Fortune 500 company that has all the manuscripts on how to do everything, because I think some people have a false sense of how great they are just because they're following a protocol. Let's say if you work for the government, everything you do is written down and provided for you, and then all of a sudden when things are going really well, you're like, hey, look at me. Well, pretty much all you did was you followed instructions in the manuscript that the government gave you, and a lot of times there's no thinking involved, there's no risk taking, and so it's not a true a vision of reality, I think, in a lot of cases. And unfortunately, a lot of guys I know that retire from firemen and stuff, and they're getting money still from the government, then they want to venture out and do things. They're still missing that entrepreneurial thing that we all get. They have that void, and they want to fill it with that, and they don't get that from work. So what's nice is I'm usually never the smartest guy in the room, not the strongest, not the fastest, but I hopefully at this point in age, I think I'm the happiest guy in the room, and that ultimately, in my opinion, makes me one of the most successful persons in the room. I didn't get to it by accident. I got to it by working my tail off. But I think as I hear things, I have friends that are super. They were just, I don't want to say born with a silver spoon in their mouth, because one of my friends, he graduated from USC. Basically a computer scientist, and he did really well for himself. He co-founded Network Appliance, and a lot of people say, oh, he's lucky, because his school was bought and paid for by his folks, and this, that, and the other, but he still had to do the work. Why maybe I was farting around a little bit. I still worked, but I tend to, as soon as I was off of work, I would want to have fun. And he would have to go and study. He would have to do those things. So nobody's given him anything. But you also have to have a brain for that. I tried to do really well in school. Just I could not retain the data. Unless I was very interested in the subject, my mind could not, I could not get passing grades, almost if my life depended on it. It was just something was going on. And I think a psychologist could break it down, and even in the future, as the medicine gets better, we'll say, oh, you had this impairment, this learning disability, this, that, and the other. But one thing I am smart enough to know is that if you are struggling in one area, it's not that you're missing out now and you're less of anything. It's you're probably going to be better in another area, because like I say, you can only focus on one thing at a time. And if you're really good at school, sometimes you may not be really good at other things. Like if you're a salesperson, you have to be on your feet. You have to be well-rounded, know a little bit of everything just to get people involved with wanting to, you got to learn how to ask good questions, and you can't ask good questions if you don't know anything, and if all you're going to do is talk about your experiences and yourself. Good luck with that in sales, because you do want other people to bounce their ideas off you, talk to you, feel like they could, you're their best friend, and so I became less envious of people as I got older, as I've seen their accomplishments and certain things, because I'm also in a position where I do happen to run into or rub elbows with very famous people or very rich people, very successful people, I guess, the way the world would look at it. They all drive the nice cars and live in the multi-million-dollar houses, and they got their beach houses and Lear jets and everything else, and private jets. So I'm privy to a lot of the inside scoop on these guys aren't any happier than I am, for the most part. And in fact, I think a lot of them would trade their lives with me. But I think part of being successful is you still have to provide for yourself. You still have to be able to kind of entertain yourself if you really want to do something. So that leads me to your job, your company, whatever it is you're trying to do to go to the next level. How do you do that? How do you become happy at your job? And I think if you're using your full potential at your job, you are going to be happier. But how do you do that? And in my case, I could give really good examples because I had to work my tail off because, like I said, I was never the smartest guy in the room. So what I had to do is just make sure I never have any downtime. And because I wasn't the most educated person, I started reading a lot of books, audiobooks, whatever, listening to talk radio, and I benefited from that since I was probably 16 years old. And you kind of dumb your brain down, and where you don't listen to a lot of fictional stuff, and then you start to thirst for the non-fictional, the educational stuff. And then once you start compiling that in your brain, you're able to use that, let's say when you talk to your first supervisor or manager or director, and you're kind of equal to them on one level. Whatever they're talking about, you could talk about politics or religion or whatever it is, history, business, because you've exposed yourself to that. So now you feel like they're equal, so you're not intimidated by them. Because I think if all you're doing is listening to music all the time, and then you go into a boardroom for the first time, now you're going to feel like, oh, these people are educated, these people are smart, I'm stupid. No, it's not that anybody's smart or stupid. It's where did they invest their time? And if you're always trying to entertain yourself and have fun, well, good luck relating to the people at the top, because these people are driven. If you are at the top of anything, you are there because you want to keep on going. You just keep scratching, clawing, and just like a four-wheel drive going up the hill where your tires are spinning. You may not be making a lot of progress, but you're making some. So if you are an educator, or even if you are, I'm not too impressed with the people I've known with degrees. In fact, eventually the small cleaning company that I had, one of the guys that worked for me, he also graduated from USC, and he essentially was a he was just a rocket scientist, literally. They say, oh, it's not rocket science. Well, I had a rocket scientist quit because he did not get the job. He couldn't function. And it's, if he would have hung around, I'm sure he would have got it eventually, but for whatever reason, he it didn't work out. And so how much did he spend on his degree? I don't know, but if you think that, because somebody has a PhD, a doctorate, and they're just leagues beyond us. No, they spent the